Disclaimer: this video delves into sensitive topics like violence, drugs, and off-putting lyrics, so if you or anyone is not of age or triggered by any of the content, do not partake in watching this video. Also, the images, lyrics, and videos from these respective artists are used only for commentary and educational purposes. These images or videos are not mine, so with that, enjoy the video.
Beef in hip-hop has always been a constant thing in the genre, with some ranging from small back-and-forths to full-blown TMZ exposés. There have been times where hip-hop beefs have gone so nuclear that some rappers weren't able to recover from it. Today we're going to be looking at rappers who never recovered after beefs and how it affected them. Before we begin, please make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe for a part 2. The first person that comes to mind is Ja Rule, who went from one of the biggest things in hip-hop to a punchline. Ja Rule, Jeffrey Atkins, was a huge sensation in the late 90s and early 2000s, with 4 albums that he dropped back-to-back from 1999 to 2002, topping the billboards in R&B and rap. Him and his label seemed to be unstoppable. That was until his beef with 50 Cent escalated, and Ja Rule suffering the worst public dragging in his career and his next album flopping soon after. To explain what happened, we would need to go back to when the beef was at its boiling point, which was 2003. At this point in time, 50 Cent had already been signed to Shady Aftermath Records, and 50 already dropped his classic debut album, Get Rich or Die Trying. When this album dropped, it was a major success, with hits such as Many Men, 21 Questions, Wanksta, and PIMP, and In the Club, which was the lead single. This album also had different diss records aimed at Ja Rule, like Life's on the Line, which was a re-release from his scrapped debut album Power of a Dollar, with this one being an indirect diss to Ja Rule, while the original version had the direct disses on them. Wanksta was another diss record that was an indirect diss to Ja Rule, according to 50. The song was about a fake gangsta who was pretending to be something he wasn't, and was inspired by Ja Rule. The music video for Wanksta kinda adds to the point, because in the video, it shows a kid holding a toy that resembles Ja Rule with a black turtleneck and bandana on its head. The final diss track that was on this album was Back Down, with this being a full-blown direct diss track towards Ja Rule, with 50 mentioning things like Ja getting his chain snatched and having to exchange it for a watch, and how Ja Rule was just a fake gangsta who was cosplaying. He even had the comedian Alex Thomas do the voice of an alleged transgender woman who Ja allegedly had a fling with while on ecstasy. When this album dropped, the whole rap game felt its presence, especially the people from Murder Inc., and it didn't get helped by the fact the album sold 872,000 copies its first week, doing better than all 4 of Ja Rule's albums its first week. So by the time 50 hit mainstream is when the beef was fully put on wax for the entire public to see. And what made the situation worse was the fact that during this time period, Murder Inc. had been under investigation for the record label being an alleged criminal enterprise, which made it hard for Ja Rule to respond. That was until after all the attention and pressure from 50 Cent's diss tracks. Ja Rule 2 months later finally responded with the song Loose Change. And while it was a good response song to 50 Cent and Shady Aftermath label, ended up being Ja's worst mistake. For context, in the song, Ja Rule launched a barrage of disses to the 50 Cent and the Shady Aftermath camp. He went at 50 Cent for being a snitch and getting shot. He went at Jimmy Iovine saying him and his record label mates liked getting peed on. He went at Dr. Dre by bringing up the gay rumors about him and saying he's a cross-dresser, and he continuously had smoke for Eminem throughout the song, accusing him of trying to be black. Called him a cross-dresser, and ended the track with a devastating line saying his mom was and his ex-wife Kim was a and said his daughter Haley would grow up to be like both of them. Now, if there is one thing you don't do, it's talk about Eminem's daughter, and it was after this diss that Eminem fully decided that he wanted to end Ja Rule's career. Shortly after the diss released, Eminem, 50 Cent, and Busta Rhymes all got together to release the brutal diss record Hail Mary, which was a remix to Tupac's song Hail Mary on his Don Killuminati album. And from there, Eminem, 50, G-Unit, and D12 began to release a flurry of disses toward the Ja Rule and the Murder Inc. camp, with disses such as Bumpheads and Do Re Mi Haley's Revenge. So with the constant public dragging of his name, Ja Rule would find himself getting lyrically jumped by different rappers at the same time. And by the time the disses stopped and Ja Rule decided to respond with his 5th studio album, Blood in My Eye, it didn't do so well commercially, with the album getting critically panned by critics for going against his older melodic style for a more aggressive tone. And to add salt into the wound, it ended up only selling 140,000 copies its first week, which for today's standards is good. But for Jaws, it was a major L considering his previous releases. And as time went on, he did have one more comeback with his album Rule in 2004. But eventually, he just became more remembered for getting embarrassed in his beef with 50 Cent than his once promising music career. But even with this fall off, it would not compare to the next person whose entire legacy was only known because of their beef with Eminem. Enter Ray Benzino, who was a rapper from Boston who used to co-own the once popular magazine called The Source, which was considered the hip-hop Bible to many fans in the late 90s and early 2000s. But, because of his beef with Eminem, it not only tainted the legacy and image of The Source and Benzino's career, but it also destroyed any credibility The Source ever had up to that point. This all started in 2002, when Eminem was one of the highest-selling artists in rap. His fourth album, The Eminem Show, had recently broken records, with it not only being the fastest-selling rap album in a day, but also being one of the fastest-selling rap albums of all time and being hailed as a classic to most hip-hop fans. While the album was getting the praise and approval it rightfully deserved, The Source still ended up giving the album a rating of 4 mics out of 5, which was the rating system that determined if your album was good or not. And while getting 4 mics was a good thing for a rapper, Eminem wasn't pleased by the rating. For context, Eminem's The Marshall Mathers LP got the same critical acclaim as The Eminem Show did. So when The Source initially gave it a 2 out of 5 mics, it got the company backlash, so much in fact that they later on ended up switching to 4 mics out of 5. So when it came to this situation with Eminem believing his albums weren't getting the credit they deserved, he decided to go after The Source's co-owner Benzino, and mentioned the reason for him not getting the 5 mics rating was because of the color of his skin in different interviews. Besides Eminem dissing The Source in interviews, he also ignored Benzino during his promotion for 8 Mile and refused to give the rapper/co-owner an interview. And it was after this incident, when the beef started to fully escalate. It all started when Benzino released the diss track, I Don't Wanna, where he took multiple shots at Eminem. And in an interview later on, he mentioned the reason for the diss is because Eminem was the hood ornament for the machine, and that he fits everything America wants in a rapper. After this diss came out, Eminem would call in to Hot 97, which was being hosted by 50 Cent. Eminem would call in saying, I wanted to request that new Benzino record. It's hot. See if you can find that one and play it for me. Might have to dig in the trash. It may be in the bottom of the trash can. Benzino, hearing about this, would later follow up with another diss track called Pull Ya Skirt Up, in which this time, he makes the claim that he birthed Eminem's career and called Eminem the 2002 Vanilla Ice. After the first 2 diss tracks from Benzino were made and released to the public, Eminem would follow up with The Invasion mixtape, which featured 2 of his most lethal diss tracks to be released. The first being The Sauce, where Eminem would go after Benzino, Dave Mays, and the entire Source magazine company. He would diss Benzino for essentially showing bias towards his own albums in the magazines, making fun of him for trying to use his son for success, and saying he's an old failed rapper. And on Nail in the Coffin, Eminem would take it even further by making fun of Benzino for being broke, saying he will never make it as an artist, and that he is too old and his time is already up to try and reboot his rap career again, and told him to just stop rapping and walk away with the dignity he had left. After these diss tracks were released, it was already clear who won. But to Benzino, this was just the beginning. After the back and forths in 2002, Benzino dedicated the rest of his time using his music and The Source magazine to slander Eminem's name. But with all the attempts he would try to make, it would simply backfire in his face. For instance, when it came to the diss tracks he made toward Eminem afterwards, he would get backlash for every single one of them for taking it too far. Like for example, in one of the diss tracks he made, he threatened Eminem's daughter, which got him a ton of backlash from the media. So much in fact that it got to the point where radio stations refused to broadcast Benzino's music, which made it even harder for the Boston rapper. Eventually, in a last-stitched effort, Benzino would try to dig up dirt on Eminem and ended up discovering a tape full of racist songs made by Eminem when he was supposedly a teenager, and would hold a press conference with Dave Mays to show snippets of the tapes to the public as a way to fully put Eminem's career to an end. But just like the other ways Benzino tried to tarnish Eminem's legacy, it backfired after the press conference occurred. Eminem's team immediately responded, with Eminem apologizing profusely, and Eminem mentioning how Benzino and The Source have had a vendetta against him for the longest time. And it was with these things that the public opinion would shift to Eminem's favor. And what made the situation worse for Benzino is that Interscope, which was the label Eminem was under, would end up pulling their ads from The Source, which was a heavy blow to The Source's pockets. And in 2006, Benzino and Dave Mays would end up both getting fired from the company. And fast forward to right now, every time he's brought into interviews, the main thing that gets brought up to Benzino is his beef with Eminem. Because of Benzino's constant mission to destroy Eminem, it ended up costing him his credibility and also his co-founder position in what was once one of the biggest magazines in music. So what did you think about these industry beefs? Do you think either Jaw or Benzino could have won? And if so, share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, and subscribe if you want more content.